Boston has entered the chat once again. Voila! Travis Thomas here, my main man.
Is that French?
No, it's like it's like a magic trick, like voila. Pull a rabbit out of the hat or two. Travis Thomas and George Balejki here.
That's what we spend the whole podcast
We're
doing,
the
pulling
rabbits.
rabbits out of hats.
Yeah, we're the rabbits. The show is a hat. Boom, we pop out.
I like that, actually.
Let's take this show on the road, shall we? Or to the chat where we've entered. We need you, 617-790-0928. Hit us up. That is a Boston has entered the chat hotline. We want to hear from you. We always say you are our co-host. Also, send us your tweets. We'll get to those after the Celtics 109-102 handled their business in Game 4. Here are the top stories we'll talk about, of course. We'll hear from you, as I said, for the Celtics win in Game 4. We'll get you ready for tonight's survival Game 5 with the Bruins, plus more on the fallout from the refs fleecing the Bruins. Apparently not everyone thinks that happened last game, and you don't want to miss George and I arguing about who are the best athletes in sports. That's always
including
good theater.
An apology by me.
An apology.
We'll find out what I'm apologizing about.
Hey, hashtag growth. George, as a person, is growing every day. He will apologize in this program. I know you don't want to miss that. Look, let's start with get this off of my chest because, George, thank you to the refs. How about this? After the Bruins fleecing, now I can look at a Boston team and actually thank the refs because there were some egregious calls early in the Celtics game, and Jason Tatum got ticked off. And what have we been asking for? Thank you, basketball gods. Ha! Jason Tatum gets ticked off, proceeds in that first half and beyond to take over the game. I mean, best player on the floor, 33 points, 13 boards, more than anything, an aggressive, dialed in, focused, ticked off Jason Tatum. And look what he can do. No one's ever accused the guy of not being gifted, of not being talented. Hell, we're all guilty of asking for more of it. What's wrong with that as fans and media members? We want more. We want you to play angry consistently because this is always the result. 33 and 13. He was the best player on the floor, even with Jaylen Brown going off. He went off as well in this game. No Donovan Mitchell. Typical Celtics. They make it harder than it needs to be, but we already knew that was coming with this team. That was on brand. But kudos to Jason Tatum for showing up and showing out for once. So thank you, refs, for getting him to get dialed in early and get ticked off.
And it's more than being angry at the refs. Now, he got a tech tonight.
He did.
Because he cursed at him about effing time. Whatever he said to him.
Good.
Fine, get mad at the refs, but channel it onto your opponent.
He did.
And he did that. Attacking the rim late and throughout the game. Same thing he did in Game 3, which I loved.
Yeah.
Going in, attacking, going to the rim, bringing it to your opponent, finding your shot inside, then going outside to hit the three. And he did that again tonight, especially in the fourth quarter. I want to get to how this game was way tighter than it ever should have been.
Yeah, we can get there.
But Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown playing with each other, playing together.
Twice.
Closed out
2 games
this game.
in a row. By the way, you brought up Game 3, and you said, Tatum was more aggressive in Game 3. Why? Because of the noise.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't really have to do much in the Heat series except what he did. I always gave him credit. I thought facilitating, boarding, grabbing boards, and just being an ultimate teammate was what was needed in the Heat series, and he did that. Game 1 against the Cavs was more of the same. But then Game 2, all hell broke loose, as we remember. That was a game the Cavs won. Tatum was just a non-factor as far as I'm concerned, wasn't aggressive enough. And we all chirped. Fans, media, everybody. He heard it. And what happens? He gets annoyed, and he goes out Game 3, and he looks like the guy that we're asked. That's what I'm saying. We're just guilty of asking for more greatness, Jason Tatum. That's it. And then tonight or last night in Game 4, he did the same thing. But you make a good point. Him and Jaylen Brown now appearing to be on the same page as far as not staggering performances where Brown will play well, Tatum, or Tatum will play well, Brown not so much. Now they're starting to piece it together, and you love to see it. But let's talk team-wide, outside of those two. Why in the hell is a Donovan Mitchell-less Cleveland Cavaliers team, I mean, right into that game to the end, right in it. And by the way, a made 3 here or a made 3 there, I mean, that game could go either way. That was a coin flip game. We saw at the end Celtics kind of sort of pulling away, hitting free throws, getting it done. But that Cleveland Cavaliers team without their best player, I mean, was an absolute headache and a nosebleed for the Boston Celtics.
And that's with Darius Garland leading the way. And we know this two-headed monster, but obviously his game switches. The offense runs through him instead of D. Mitch when Mitchell is out. But this is still a team that we know Karis LeVert, the bucket he was in Brooklyn, he can still be that guy in the Cavaliers given the shots and ability. For as deep of a defensive team as the Celtics are, for this to be so close, so late, right before the half, end of the third, with a minute and a half, 30 seconds to go in the game as a totality as well. Their stars shine through, their best players shine through, hit the late shots they needed to, and that's what helped them close it out. But agree, this is a team that isn't in the same neighborhood as you.
No.
And you take away Donovan Mitchell, it is what we've seen time and time again, where the Celtics play down to their opponents.
Right.
And even at a point, try to take the air out of the ball way too early in this game.
Right.
Dribble around late in the shot clock and miss a shot. Cleveland comes back on the other end. Either makes or misses. Missed more than they made, of course. But just not playing with I'm going to close this game out by just continue to score. You have the talent to do that. Instead, trying to get cute, kill the clock. And that was leading to the demise. A lot of iso ball. The Celtics getting out of their system. Then what worked late? Getting the ball to Jason Tatum. Making sure he gets to the paint. If a three is there, him passing to it, or for him finding a mid-range shot, which is falling for him tonight.
Yeah.
This is just still a team that plays down to the opponent. And I really don't think they're going to get challenged until the finals. But they're going to get punched in the face by a Denver, a Minnesota,
Luka.
maybe even a Dallas.
Yeah.
With a killer on the other end of the floor in a Luka Doncic,
Right.
Nikola Jokic,
Kyrie.
and Anthony Edwards, a Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
And then how are these guys going to respond? Because it is a war in the West.
Yes.
And in the East, it's nothing more than a cakewalk.
Yeah, whoever comes out of the West, to your point, is going to be battle-tested and just an absolute menace. I mean, I guess hearing you talk like that, best matchup in a way would be the Thunder, who are young. They don't defend at a high level like that. Mm-hmm. Chet is, if you can imagine, even skinnier than Kristaps Porzingis. SGA is a problem, obviously, but you would think a Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum combo would at least offset what he can do. So that feels like probably the most ideal matchup. But either way, for all the things you said, for all the other teams who are options, and even the Thunder are still probably, if you put them in the Eastern Conference, a 2 or 3 seed. So, what difference does it make? It's going to be a bigger challenge, NBA Finals, should you get there.
The Celtics, what they have in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is exactly what they did tonight. 2 guys that can get you 60.
Right.
If you're on the NBA team, you want 3 guys that can get you 60, which they have.
They have.
If you bring a Drew Holiday or Derek White in the fold, Derek White, 3rd straight game playing bad, but Drew Holiday filling out 16 points himself. But it's the 2 guys that are going to carry this team to the finals. When they get Kristaps back, how effective will he be? Can he even make it through an entire series? We'll see. But it was good to see Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown come out, assert their shots. And for Tatum, 3rd straight game, points, assists, rebounds, leading this team, while Drew Holiday had 5 dimes himself as well. But this is when stuff got tight late, looking for each other, finding their shots and hitting it.
Yeah.
Because this was a close game, 5 points, until Jason Tatum driving, kicks it out to Brown on the wing, hits a big-time 3.
Yeah.
Even Jason Tatum at certain points with shots where you don't want him to take. That's a bad look, bad matchup, but he hits difficult shots. Drew Holiday doing the same thing with Evan Mobley matched up on him. So it was the vets on this team stepping up and closing this one out. But again, this is a game that was tight. And what you're going to have a team without Donovan Mitchell play more aggressive in the Cavaliers, and a team in the Celtics without Donovan Mitchell, without him as an opponent, play a little lighter. But last home game for the Cavs, most likely in this series, home crowd getting behind them, then playing well on their home floor. That's why this game was tight. It's just, again, we know the Celtics are the best team in the NBA, but how are you going to evaluate them in these bigger stages in playoff games? And that's what game-to-game is for me. Just evaluating how tested are they when they get to the finals. And that's why 3-1, go up. They're doing what they should. It's the same tone I had when they played the Miami Heat. Congrats. You beat a bad team in 5. It's going to be that with the Cavaliers. Congrats. You beat a bad team in 5.
Yeah.
But
they're
it's
not
just,
a bad team, George. The Cavs aren't a bad team.
They have talent,
They're
but
limited.
there's so much potential just
Yeah.
left untapped.
They're limited.
Evan Mobley should be so much better offensively than he is right
Yeah.
now, right? And Isaac Okoro, the same thing. Great perimeter defender, should be much further along. Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, same thing. So
Right.
that's on the development of this coaching staff. Talented, a lot of potential untapped. But still, the Cavs are just not in the same league as the Celtics.
You brought up Derek White. I mean, listen, outside of game one in this series, his production has dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because of Jason Tatum's production upticking? I mean, I just look at this as like Derek White, you could argue, carried you in the Heat series.
Yeah.
And again, game one in this series, he was Derek White. But like since, his production's down. Now that obviously, here's the thing. This is why I said like Jason Tatum being inconsistent in terms of being a rock star every night. It kind of causes an identity crisis for your team slightly, because when Jason Tatum is aggressive and assertive, and Jaylen Brown is, who has been consistent in this playoffs, Jaylen Brown, as far as being aggressive. Mm-hmm. But when Tatum and Brown are both aggressive, everyone's role is clearly defined. Role player, Derek White, facilitator, big shot maker, Kristaps when healthy does his role. Drew Holiday, the champion, kind of keeps everyone together, quintessential true point guard. When Tatum's not a rock star, well, now someone has to step up and do some of that scoring. That's usually Derek White, right? Well, we've seen Drew Holiday as of late come on, but generally it's been Derek White. So I just wonder, is Jason Tatum now being Jason Tatum, the guy we've been waiting on all playoffs, these last couple games, is that a direct correlation of Derek White now trying to sort of feel out his new role? Oh, okay, Jason's decided to show up. Now I need to do less of this and more of that. I wonder that.
I think it's more of a Derek White drop-off than a Drew Holiday uptick.
Oh,
Because offensively,
it's those two.
And now Drew Holiday's more of a corner three shooter, less around the rim, but
He's
that's
going to the
given
rim,
NBA.
though. He is going to the
But
rim.
that is, Derek White's the same thing. Smart, get to the rim, attack smaller guards, because he's a strong guy.
Sure.
And get there. So I think that's a correlation there.
I could see
because
that.
this has been the Jason Tatum shot-wise per game what we've been seeing.
Yeah.
But also, to your point, Jason Tatum was missing a lot more in the first round leading up to the last two games.
Yes. He wasn't
So
shooting
Derek White
well.
was picking up that slack. But
Right.
I think it's the simplicity of Derek White and Drew Holiday, their roles in the offense being more overlapped than what you see with Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. Because Tatum and Brown are the elite athletic wings every team wants. Derek White, Drew Holiday, the more heady point guards. Aggressive, bigger, more physical, and attack the smaller defensive matchups in front of them. You know?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Because the Jays get the best defenders.
Yeah.
So obviously the rest fall on Derek White and Drew Holiday. So, but what's good is that with White falling off, now that Drew Holiday is stepping up. And with White falling off, Jason Tatum found his shot. Because that's why I was so hard on Jason Tatum with how poorly he was shooting. Because I knew eventually Derek White would come back down to earth.
You were calling it then.
And it was, when is that going to happen?
Yeah.
And Jason Tatum needs to find a shot, because I didn't want that to happen in the finals.
Right.
When you're playing the best team possible.
Yeah.
So it's good it happens now.
Well, that, and also, I don't believe this team. I know the East is weak. Hell, we talk about it all the time. I still, as good as this team is and all its talent and everything else, I still do not believe this team gets to the finals without Jason Tatum being the star that we
Agreed.
know he is. I just feel like at some point they would stub their toe along the way.
They can get Kristaps Porzingis back. They don't win the finals without Jason Tatum being the guy he has to be.
Absolutely. Amen. And by the way, let's bring him up too. You got to have Kristaps Porzingis to win a title as well. Healthy. You got to have him back. I know you're skeptical, but you got to have him.
It hurts. It still hurts seeing those shots of him sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
Whatever he's wearing.
Well, they claim he's healing faster than
He said himself
expected.
he's healing at a historic
Yes.
rate.
So
I don't believe it with an inch. I don't believe that at all. A guy that's always injured
I
with one of
know.
the toughest injuries is you're recovering at a historic rate.
I know.
Playing for a team like the Boston Celtics that always lies about the injury reports, I don't believe anything coming out of that building. Anything.
All right. I want to get to fan tweets, but before we do it, Are we letting Joe Mazzulla off the hook here? Or are we? I mean, we haven't. Look, that Heat series. Oh, we were slandering them. Look at Joe Mazzulla up against an Eric Spoelstra. It's so obvious what good and great looks like. And then where's the whiteboard at? I mean, call some plays, run something. Where's the X's? Where's the O's? I mean, we have not mentioned Joe Mazzulla one time in this series. What are we doing here?
Only credit I'll give him is that he woke Jason Tatum up.
Was that
he'll
him?
go out and say,
Was
or
that
is it
him?
Tatum himself?
Are we giving him that?
I don't know, but that's a credit I'll give him.
I'm giving us that.
I'm not going to give Joe Mazzulla credit. It's JB Bickerstaff, man. It's a banged up Cavs team without Jared Allen. Now without Donovan Mitchell. Whole complexion of that team changes. So no, I'm not giving. You're going out and doing what you did for 64 wins in the regular season.
Okay.
Credit Joe Mazzulla. You're keeping the train on the tracks.
Okay.
But this roster is so stacked.
Okay.
So no, I'm still not giving him credit.
So he's just kind of obsolete this series. We'll check back in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, the Eastern
Right?
Conference Finals against a team that's 3 deep in the New York Knicks. You have Jalen Brunson playing through a bruised foot.
Hey,
OG
wait a minute. They're
Anunoby
well
done.
coached.
Mitchell Robinson
Tibbs
done.
deserves some
Bojan
props.
Bogdanovic
Wait a minute.
done.
Wait.
Josh Hart about to collapse on the floor, playing 57 minutes a night. Tibbs is a good coach, but this team's depleted. They're
Right.
injured. No Julius Randle.
By the way, it could be the Pacers.
Team
Right?
that can't defend.
Team they can't defend.
Honestly, I think the Pacers might be a bigger scare for the Celtics because they have the firepower to keep up.
Well, they're healthy too, right?
Yeah.
All right, listen. Boston has entered the chat. It's so interactive. It'll make your head spin.
Bring us your Joe Mazzulla tweets.
I mean, honestly, yeah, we have tweets. We have the hotline, 617-790-0928. We'll get to that later. We do have a voicemail on there. But for now, let's run through the tweets. Big night for the Celtics last night, getting that win. How about this one from Extra Large? The Boston All-Stars have been good to us. Hey, we talked about it all night. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, hello, show up together, and that's a tough team to beat.
2 guys that get you 60. That's what you want for those 2.
Finally, playing like all-stars. Watch Tatum have a stinker next game. That's from Ray Nail.
Guys,
Ray Nail,
what's the standard here in Boston? You want people playing like all-stars, a popularity contest? Play like all pros, like all NBA guys, which they're doing right now.
I also don't
All-stars.
think he's going to have a stinker either. I don't believe that. I think this Tatum that has shown up these last few games
Sticks.
is the guys. Here's from Deb. The Jays did it again. C's.
I love it. I mean, they did it against a bad Cavaliers team. Just be
You
realistic, guys.
refuse to give credit. Flawless Sports, yes you are, says, we're coming, New York.
I wouldn't Sharpie a trip to New York yet because the Pacers are healthier and can score. But you know the league offices are making a call.
Oh, yeah.
New York, Boston.
Oh, yeah.
Because imagine if it's New York, Indiana in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then it's Minnesota, Boston in the finals. They got to make up for that Minnesota, Boston.
Gross. Or Oklahoma City, Boston.
Dallas, Boston.
Aye.
Exactly. You need Boston, New York in the finals.
Bro,
So yeah, you're coming.
How about us?
Won't stay long.
How about us talking Boston, New York, possibly for 2 Eastern Conference Finals, and maybe not getting either? Ain't that but a beep?
That
Right?
I didn't see these injuries coming for the Knicks. We knew they were banged up, but to get this bad,
Yeah.
I forgot when we had that convo if it was after Joel Embiid
I don't know.
just ripping Mitchell Robinson's knee out of his leg.
Yeah. I almost forgot about that.
It had to have been after that, but you guys, if you've been keeping track at home, my public enemy number 1 this postseason are the refs. Actually, the Review Center.
No, the refs. Yes.
No, the Review Center in Toronto.
Center.
Those morons.
Yes.
And number 2 is Joel Embiid. Literally the dirtiest player I've ever seen on an NBA floor, not named Draymond Green, and just gets away with it.
That's a fact, brother. No doubt about that.
He attacked ushers.
Yeah.
He was bullying like a 60-year-old usher in New York.
What are we doing? I mean, honestly, for all the latest on the Patriots, check out Foxborough Rush with yours truly, NG Beezy. We talk all things Patriots, all things NFL. For the full episode, check it out on YouTube, Facebook, and wherever you get your podcast. And remember, hit us up on the hotline right here at Boston Has Entered the Chat, 617-790-0928. Send us your tweets. You see, we show them, we talk about them, we show you love. All right, now let's skate to the ice for a little rip and react time here. Panthers, Bruins. All the marbles, season on the line tonight, my friend. Here's a stat that's going to blow your mind. Ready for this? The Bruins are 0 for 25, over all time when trailing a series 3-1. That ain't good, is it, George?
I mean, it doesn't shock me. Any team, besides the Florida Panthers, I would assume everyone has a O in that win column. This is also, once they got to the second round, and it had to be a Jeremy Swayman or Linus Ullmark carrying the team, which it was for Sway in the first round.
Yes.
Getting to the second round, this was a team that was weak down the middle, not a deep blue line, soft on the blue line, goaltending up and down, scoring can be anemic at points, but a defense that would play stingy. That was the team. You get to the second round, good for you. Against a Panthers team that is one of the best in the league, tough as hell, and protects their goalie. And when I say protects their goalie, Sergei Bobrovsky protects him by not allowing you to shoot the puck a ton, which we saw happen in Game 4 for these 18 shots on goal. So, that stat doesn't astonish me. For them to be down 3-1 in the series, I said going in before Game 1 and what Swayman did and how the Bruins won, I said Panthers in 5. So I thought it was, I was like, maybe Panthers in 6 after that Game 1 performance by the Bees and that win, but it's back to Panthers in 5 to me.
This is going to sound so cliche, but it truly is. The Bruins at this point obviously can only look at this series one game at a time. So I'm not as convinced that it's over in 5 tonight. It could go 6. And the reason I say that is because you must lock in on just one game at a time. If you win this game tonight, then you worry about Game 6 and if you could push it to beyond and come back from 3-1, which is what we're talking about here. And it's so cliche to just say, now you're in such a hole, you have to focus on that and take it one period at a time. Hell, for all that. But I will say this. I think all of us can acknowledge, even though we know the refs fleeced the Bruins, we can all acknowledge we've seen enough sample size-wise in this series to just see that the Panthers are a flat-out better hockey team, okay? In every phase, we have seen that. With that being said, the one thing the Bruins can control is effort. So I am definitely looking for them to come out tonight and just absolutely empty the tank in terms of effort. I mean, they're in a lot of these games, they're being beat physically. They're being beat to the puck, hustle. This is the kind of game tonight you have to win all those. The stuff that doesn't show up in the box score, right? Effort, be first to the puck, be physical. You must win that battle tonight to even give yourselves a chance. Because if we're all acknowledging from what we've seen, boy, this Panthers team just looks better. That's okay. But when you play a team like that, you have got to beat them on all that stuff, on the hustle points. You got to beat them in that. I believe the Bruins do that tonight and will stay alive. I think they'll extend this series. I'm not saying they're coming back from 3-1. That's a bold move, Cotton. But I am saying I think they can extend it. All the chips on the table for all the marbles tonight. I think they actually get one based off of pride and heart.
You think they shoot it more than 20 times tonight?
I mean, you're going to have to shoot more than you've been shooting. That's for damn sure.
And that's what the worry is. You've seen this as a team that doesn't score a ton, and that's fine because the defense and goaltending was good. But against a team that doesn't give you those opportunities, that puts a pressure on the puck. Honestly, all I'm looking for at this point tonight is Pat Maroon to find someone that has the stones to actually square up with him. Because he's gone out and challenged that entire team, and no one's taking him up on it.
Would you?
You'll hear that coming up. Hell no.
I wouldn't.
But I'm not the one playing a sport, and I'm not the one out there on the ice being a prick and picking on someone and punching down. If I was punching down, then maybe I'd have to face the music.
Yeah.
Shoot, man. If I'm on a hockey team, I know I'm a fourth liner. I got nothing else to prove than drop gloves and dance with Pat Maroon, then I'd do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you would just hope to see a team that has been embellishing their goalie, their players, Sam Bennett's, Matt Tkachuk's. And you've seen a team in a series that's been called one way, like the Hampus Lindholm penalty. I didn't Tkachuk when the puck is right there. The inconsistent in the goalie interference. I don't know. At this point, you just see a big guy, and everything Pat Maroon is brought in for was to be an enforcer, was to assert himself and protect the Stars. Because don't forget, what was it, Game 3? No, Game 2. Game 2, sorry. when the fights were constant and coming. Everything was happening after Pat Maroon was ejected. For nothing, too, by the way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you bring that guy in. It's all about fighting and toughness for him. I just want to see it come through.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we also could use the refs not jobbing the Bruins tonight. That would be great. I mean, I know, look, we're going to get to some other viewpoints of that later in the show. But, I mean, even the Boston Brass, the powers that be, Don Sweeney, all these guys, Jim Montgomery, obviously we heard. Everyone is to the point where it's like, okay, we lost a game. You can't blame the refs. Mm-hmm. But there also needs to be some accountability by the league, by these referees, and we're just not getting it. In fact, we have a soundbite of this look, like no one's blaming anyone, although we'll all acknowledge when this call happened that was clearly goalie interference, you reviewed it, you still didn't call it as we all saw it, fine. That moment doesn't lose you the game, but it damn sure changed the momentum of the game. Mm-hmm. And if the Bruins win said game, this call never happens or you get the call right. We're having a completely different conversation here. So, again, not blaming the refs, but there does need to be accountability. Take a listen.
We're not in a position to be criticizing, the officials and league-wide such. That's standard protocol. We'll get fined as a result of that. So there's no intention of my point to be critical. The overall premise that I have is, to be perfectly honest with you, we should not be asking the coach after a game what they feel about officiating and what happens. You guys should really be focused on, what we didn't do well enough in the course of the game and win a hockey game. Those questions should be directed at either director of supervisor officials, supervisor series, and or the officials. You want full access, and transparency, then put the officials on the, in front of the microphone to answer the question, because they're the only ones. Hold on, they're the only ones that have the experience to be able to handle, whatever interpretation they applied to Rule 69 in that case to answer your question.
So there you go. I mean, Don Sweeney, the Bruins GM, saying there, I thought that was actually well said. And if you notice, a reporter tried to jump in and he said, hey, wait, hold on a second.
I didn't get that cut off. Yeah, he's like, I'm not done here.
I'm not done. He was holding court like you were last night.
He said, don't put out a statement, just stand in front, answer the question, talk about the officials. That's Don Sweeney saying there needs to be accountability from the league, like a 2-minute report that we get in the NBA, which to me doesn't do any better. Like, I just want better officiating. Get the calls right. And I said it last night. I loved how it was called on the ice. Goal, review, and then recall it back. It should have been overturned. I would take that over saying no goal, goal interference right away, and you take away a goal that could have been scored. Then you look at the review and go, oops, bad call, not goal interference. I'd rather there be a goal taken off than a goal that was taken away and can't be put back on. Same thing with football. Yeah. I'd rather call the touchdown, review it, then get it right and bring it back.
Just get it right. That's it.
But do your job. I don't want to.
It's why you review.
Yeah, I put it all.
What's the point?
I put it all out there last night.
No, it's true though.
Do your job and the accountability at the highest level to get it right.
Amen. Hey, we asked to hear from you. You delivered 617-790-0928. How about our guy Josh in Mansfield? Hit us up on the hotline. Take a listen. He feels the same way as we do, George.
Hey, guys. Josh from Mansfield calling in here. Been a big Bruins fan for a couple decades now, and I don't know if I've ever been this mad about a situation with the refs and how it impacted a game. I felt like the game essentially ended after that goal was allowed. It felt deflating as a fan at that point to see the goal stand, the Panthers not even get called for goal interference, which should have been called as Coyle fell into Swayman. And then the goal stands, and then we get put on a penalty kill because we lose the challenge. It just seems like something the NHL has to fix, particularly in the playoffs.
I love the passion in my guy Josh's voice.
That's
and he's
my boy.
right. He's right.
Taught me how to ice skate out in Madison, Wisconsin. Yeah, that's the homie right there.
Man.
But I knew that was a guy to text. I said, I want to hear from you, but I want you to put it on the hotline. But he's right. it's also, if you challenge and get it wrong,
Yes.
you lose a skater. Like, what is this? Take away a timeout that could be key in the game. It's the NHL, again, cannot get out of their own way.
Right.
And for whatever reason, don't want their officials to be called out for being wrong on the ice when it's blatant missed. That was a great point by Josh there. Calling in, love it. Bring in the numbers.
Called it as he saw it.
But it's with the NHL, just the penalty for challenging if you get it wrong doesn't make sense.
No.
You guys got a call wrong. We're going to challenge it. And even though you got the review wrong, now we're paying the price by being put on the PK.
Well, listen, George, I hate to get you all fired up again, but not everyone agrees with us about this call, my friend. Panthers play-by-play announcer Steve Goldstein defended the call. Of course he did. And I know you have the quotes of what he said, but he basically said we're all crying and we're wrong. We're in the wrong. It was not goalie interference, and Swayman had no shot at making a save there. Oh, is that right?
Yeah, like Steve Goldstein on the What Chaos podcast. He said Charlie Coyle's already gliding towards his goaltender. His left skate's already in the crease in the blue. So he was going into him. Yeah, Charlie Coyle, 14-year NHL vet, is just going to keep going into Swayman, idiot. My opinion is Jeremy Swayman doesn't have any chance even close to come back and make this save. He was already pushing off with his left foot. It was on the far post of the goal.
Yeah.
He was about to reset his foot. His eyes are tracking the puck. He is following it. And then he has someone falling into him, all 220 pounds of Charlie Coyle. That's why he didn't have a chance to even come back and make a save. And again, you don't know that for sure because he had one of his own teammates falling into him, literally on his shoulders. And Charlie Coyle, after the game, said, I would have fallen on my face if Jeremy Swayman wasn't there for me to fall onto.
That's right.
Then last he goes, is there something egregious that should overturn what they ruled on the ice? I don't think there was. Look, I get it. Steve Goldstein is going to protect the Panthers. He's going to, protect his guys. That's fine.
Please.
But hey, no, you've seen this team enough. You know who Charlie Coyle is. You know how athletic Jeremy Swayman is. Just because you are a victim of watching Sergei Bobrovsky play goalie for the last 2 years, however long it's been, doesn't mean that's how everyone else plays goal. Bobrovsky's okay at best, serviceable at best. Jeremy Swayman's one of the most athletic goaltenders in the league, and that's his strength. To at least make a bid on a play there for a save to stop that rebound. I'm not saying he'd make it. I don't know. But the whole point that was wrong with this call is that he could have at least made an attempt, but he could not because Charlie Coyle was all over him. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because Sam Bennett cross-checked Charlie Coyle in the back to fall over Jeremy
That's
Swayman.
right. Well, I mean, listen. Thank God here in Boston, we drug test our play-by-play announcers because the same cannot be said for Panthers play-by-play people. That is clear to me in hearing that. But as far as the players, and you mentioned them, I mean, Pat Maroon, he has a sense of urgency. So does his teammates. He actually spoke about this, so we'll see it tonight, I'm sure, in Game 5. Take a listen.
I'm sure everyone's wondering why I haven't done anything. I'll sit here and say it's not like I haven't tried or I don't want to do anything. I love my captain. I love the guys. And I think, trust me, it's a tough business and everyone's looking at me to do something. And unfortunately, I try. I am trying. And we can't really focus on that. It's over. It's done with. We got to focus on winning a hockey game now.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you were speaking to earlier. He's skating around,
He's trying. I
looking for
believe
a
him.
fight, and no one wants to smoke.
No, none at all. And I like how he says, he's like, trust me, I'm trying, but
He's
no
trying.
one wants it. And everyone's calling, where's Pat Maroon? This is when Pat Maroon should step in. Part of the game, and people may think it's nuts because they fight on the ice, but
Yes.
there has to be the mutual agreement. You're ready to go right now and need the other guy on the
yeah.
opposing team to agree, drop gloves, and square up.
It takes two to tango.
No one on Pat Maroon is challenging everyone on the bench, going up to Kachuk, barking at Sergei Bobrovsky before the game. He was going at everyone, and no one would take him up on the offer. So,
And I understand.
I feel for Maroon on that one. And, as you've pointed out with our hotline, we're interactive on this. We want the fans to chime in.
Yep.
This was great. Is me going at the refs and calling them out, and that poor explanation, that awful explanation, not an overturned call, posted on Instagram.
Sure.
Fans came in. I want to go dang_cool_cat. This is a really poetic play when you think about it. Talking about Sam Bennett shoving Charlie Coyle into Jeremy Swayman. The player who scored should have been suspended. The goal shouldn't have been allowed due to goalie interference. And it shouldn't have been a Panthers power play since OEL hit himself in the face and flopped like a fish. Incredible. OEL being one of the Panthers players. From Evan's Dad 05, my wife and I are diehard Canes fans and Bruins haters. And we even agreed that the call was terrible and you guys got screwed. The refs in the NHL are a complete joke. A Canes fan agreeing with a Bruins fan. Then here on Lost on Vinyl Mountain, Swayman strengthened his athleticism. His ability to stretch with speed is why he had a legitimate play on the puck. Fact is, Coyle is forechecked on top. He means cross-checked. On top of him, preventing his leg from extending. Finally, from Craig Lickman, Ranger fan here, Boston got screwed. We have Ranger fans, Canes fans, and Bruins fans coming together.
Yeah.
And also Kevin J. Lesage. The NHL acknowledged there was contact made, but they said not enough to prevent the goalie from making a play. I didn't realize Helen Keller worked in the Toronto office.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was her either. It's Helen Keller, Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, all working up there. It's just the fans chiming in on Instagram. Love you guys bringing this in. Rangers fans and Canes fans agreeing with each other as they're going at it, and both agreeing with Bruins fans. But that's how objectively terrible the officiating has been in this series, and how terrible that entire sequence was. A, did not call goalie interference on the ice, but then look at it in instant replay and say it wasn't goalie interference when it was by the book.
Yeah. Yeah. Fans chimed in there. They also chimed in on a subject that we did last week where we asked which sport has the best athletes, because as you know now, all these athletes are at battle with each other. No, we're more athletic on the Hoopers side. No, we're more athletic on the football side. So we decided, okay, let's bring this up. Let's hear from you. We put a Twitter poll out there, and you voted, and the results are in. But here's the most important thing before we talk the results. Let's talk about the growth of a young man who was reckless as all hell and is here tonight to make it right. First, let's flash back on the recklessness that was George speaking on a specific sport's athleticism or lack thereof.
Some of the worst athletes I know going back to high school were great lacrosse players. My buddy Steve Adwar, dude, he would just camp out in the crease. He's one of the biggest potheads I know. Just camp out in the crease, wait for it, get the pass, rip it in. Same thing with some defensemen. I'm not taking away. That takes a lot of skill.
Yes, you are.
That doesn't take a lot of athleticism. Lacrosse players are not the best athlete, but that is a skill I could not master.
George, I'd like for you to look in that ISO camera right now before I give the results of this poll and apologize to all the lax bros out there. You are from the great state of New Jersey. I know damn well great lax bros come out of that state.
Yeah, hand to God, I was wrong. Lacrosse players are good athletes. Are they the best? I won't say that. But damn it, you're running full speed, and you got a quarter whizzing at you, 100 miles per hour, and you catch it, cradle it, rip it, shoot it with accuracy.
That's right.
That takes a ton of skill.
Put some respect.
It's an unnatural movement to have a ball and a stick, both your hands on it, and passing it. Look at how bad my form is right now. I'm getting exposed.
It's terrible.
I've tried mini lax. I've never tried actual lacrosse. Lacrosse players are good athletes.
There you go.
I am sorry that my years of watching Steve Adwar camp out in the crease at Wayne Valley High School, his way to an all-county honor, I'm sorry that impeded my opinion and impaired my opinion on lacrosse players as athletes.
Well, the results are
look
in.
at that.
Hashtag growth. I'm proud of you, brother. The results are in. It's Boston after all, isn't it? Hockey, 57% of the vote have the best athletes. Football came in second with 24%. Basketball at 12%. Other at 6%.
There's your lacrosse at 6%.
I mean, other could be a lot of things. Well, remember, I said combat athletes. I said fighters.
Yeah.
But hockey, I mean, obviously, you have to give props to hockey players. You can't take anything away from their athleticism. Certainly the toughest athlete of them all, in my opinion. Big, physical, strong. Skating is a skill.
Dude,
they're absolute world-class athletes.
Go try and ice skate.
Yeah.
Go try and skate backwards.
That's right. Coordination.
Stop on a dime. And exactly, be coordinated to have that puck basically be the stick be an extension of your hands or the
Yeah.
puck. Like none of that's easy.
By the way, their
Being a
season is a
goaltender.
marathon, bro.
Yeah.
So not just that. NFL, okay, you're playing Sundays, Thursday, Mondays now, right?
Saturdays.
Basketball season is a marathon, but it's not as physical as hockey.
Not as
Hockey
physically
season is a
grueling.
marathon, and it's physical as all hell.
And think about in the NBA where you have players taking off back-to-backs. And,
Right.
need to put a limit in. You have to play a minimum of, 65 games?
Sure.
Hockey players are out there every night.
That's what I'm saying.
And speaking of Pat Maroon, hockey players, you got to know how to fight on your skates. I can't fight on my feet. I'm going
Gotta
to put on
squabble.
skates.
You got to squabble.
and square up with someone.
Yep.
Do you think that what created this debate was someone saying you could take 30 NBA players, put them in the NFL, can't have 30 NFL players in the NBA? What do you think would be the harder flip, to go from the NBA to the NFL or the NFL to the NBA?
Oh, I mean, obviously going to the NFL. I mean, those guys will knock your face off of your face. Please. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from hoopers, but let's relax on the what's harder to play. Stop. It's football. It's violent, or it used to be more violent, but it's still violent. It's definitely that. I'd love to see Kevin Durant go across the middle. Stop.
But I've always wondered, like Russell Westbrook as a safety.
Yeah, there's certain
Or a slot
guys.
receiver.
I'm saying there's certain guys who
Ant-Man
can
as a corner.
translate, obviously, but as a
Jaylen
whole, your
Brown.
question was more monolithic than that, right? As a whole, forget about it.
Even I'm thinking some NFL players, like a Justin Jefferson in the NBA. CJ Stroud can shoot.
Certain
My
guys.
one thing with basketball, it's an unnatural movement that you're shooting a basketball.
Well,
Football is at least you run, catch, it's right there. This thing's not leaving your hand.
I tell you this much.
Basketball, putting that on the floor, got to make 1, 2, 3 moves. I think basketball is more athletically challenging, but there is also some like premier elite athletes. We're talking about edge rushers, offensive tackles,
Right.
guys that are 6'5", 6'6", 320 pounds, facing the best athletes on the field out there on the edge and got to mirror their every move. Or cornerbacks where you're facing someone like a Justin Jefferson or a Tyreek Hill. You got to keep up with them, leap with them, come down with the ball.
I tell you this much. Jared Goff can buy basketball, football, lacrosse. He can buy all the sports. Jared Goff got 4 years, $212 million from the Detroit Lions with 170 M's guaranteed. Of course they overpaid for Jared Goff. But this is what the quarterback market is in this league, George. This is what they go for. And Jared Goff is damn good. Is he great? We don't know yet. Books still
good.
being written. Doesn't
good.
feel like he's great, but he still has a chance to capture that. But he is damn good, and he's paid like he's great.
$53.5 million AAV when you take that 212.
It's the market,
break it up
right?
over 4 years. Yeah, just below Joe Burrow. His $170 million guaranteed ahead of Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray. But it's more importantly to me that AAV, because what the Lions are doing with this contract, if you don't, you'd rather have somebody than nobody, because when you have nobody, you're paying Daniel Jones $40 million a year.
That's right.
Because that would be their future if they lost Jared Goff in free agency. And credit to the Detroit Lions front office, because this offseason alone, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4-year extension. Penei Sewell, 4-year extension. Jared Goff, 4-year extension.
Wow.
Locked up the 3 most important positions on the offensive side of the ball: tackle, receiver, quarterback. Aiden Hutchinson's next. Build up that defense.
Yes.
That's next.
Yes.
Jameer Gibbs, the guys that you have, Sam Laporta,
Yeah.
the good players around him. But you keep a quarterback who you know who you're getting every week, every day in that building, knows Ben Johnson's system.
Consummate
Behind a
professional.
great offensive line with great receivers, a good explosive run game. Yes, this is a ridiculous number for Jared Goff, but you know what? Good for him. He was born at a time and with a skill set to become a quarterback in 2024. That's
Right.
what it is.
Right. That's well said. I mean, listen, the thing is, he's going to get another big contract after this one, just like Kirk Cousins has got a bunch of them. I mean, you don't have to be great like a Joe Montana or a Dan Marino back in the day to get the bag nowadays. You just have to be really good and available. Kudos to these guys for always being healthy and available. We saw Cousins get injured last season, but that was the first time we've seen that in like forever with this guy, right? So if you're available and you are slightly above average or comfortably above average, which I would say Jared Goff is, you're going to make a ton of money in your career. Kudos to him for cashing in on it. Now we'll see if he can deliver on the big scale and get Detroit a Super Bowl. For all of our best content of the day, make sure you follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Travis Thomas, George Balejki. Boston has entered the chat yet again, and we will do it again soon with you. See you next time. Peace.
Later.